Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your stimulus check update for the second stimulus package for Sunday, August 2nd. I hope everyone is having a good and safe weekend so far. In this video, I'll be discussing both the first and second stimulus check, including with key figures meeting once again on Capitol Hill. How are the discussions now going? I'll also be discussing different stimulus check proposals, unemployment, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, giving me a big thumbs up. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so Donald Trump took to Twitter the other day in an all-out attack on Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. This is just a continuation of both sides sort of pointing the finger at each other. The tweet reads, "Very disappointed in Senator Schumer for blocking the temporary extension of the $600 unemployment benefits. The do-nothing Democrats are more interested in playing politics than in helping our deserving people. Drain the swamp on November 3rd. Now, if you remember, the White House offered up a one-week extension to the unemployment benefits at $600 per week. However, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer rejected that offer. Schumer and Pelosi's argument is that the situation requires a solution that is larger in scope. They don't think that the White House understands the gravity of the problem. With that said, if you had the power to extend the unemployment benefits, how much money would you give people per week, and how much longer would you extend these unemployment benefits for? Let me know what you would decide in the comment section below." Donald Trump then went on to tweet, "The Democrats are holding back the $1,200 to $3,400 for a family of 4 checks that were ready to be sent out." Yeah, Trump really went there. It's definitely getting very heated between the two sides. Now, Nancy Pelosi sort of has the mindset that the offers made by the Republicans simply aren't serious enough. According to sources, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows made 4 different proposals to the Democrats, one of which would have extended the unemployment benefits for another 4 months at $400 per week. This proposal also included $105 billion for schools, liability protections, and more funding for the Paycheck Protection Program. Pelosi also rejected this proposal, believing that it would be much more difficult to get Mitch McConnell back to the negotiating table after giving Mitch McConnell everything that he wanted in a skinny package revolving around liability protections. So, in your opinion, who do you believe is in the wrong here? Do you believe that the Democrats are being more unreasonable? Or do you believe that the Republicans are being more unreasonable here? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Okay, so in some good news, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Mark Meadows, and Steven Mnuchin had their 5th face-to-face meeting yesterday, which reportedly lasted more than 3 hours. And let me just say, anytime that you can be in the same room as another individual for more than a few hours, that must mean that something is going right. And at the very least, they're able to stand each other. It was reported that they made some progress today, but there is still no deal yet. Nancy Pelosi said, "This is not a usual discussion because the urgency is so great health-wise and financial health-wise." Chuck Schumer, who up to this point has been quite pessimistic about how talks have been going, said the discussion today was actually quite productive. Schumer said, quote, "We are not close yet, but it was a productive discussion. Now each side knows where they're at." Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin also said that today's meeting was one of the most constructive ones that they've had so far. So it's evident that they actually made some decent progress, and they're closer today than where they were yesterday, so that's all very positive stuff. Again, I'm just trying to think positive here. There's definitely a lot in the world to dwell on right now, so we must remain positive. Today, they plan on having a staff-only meeting, and then principals are set to meet again on Monday. So let's hope that we can continue to see even more progress next week. This is a situation where both sides really need to bear down, put their differences apart, and get a deal done. All of the huge egos on Capitol Hill need to come back down to earth. They need to finalize this package and finalize this deal next week. The pressure is most definitely on. The Senate has their next month-long recess coming up on August 8th, so they'll have just 5 working days to get this next relief package passed. Of course, it is entirely possible that the Senate may end up pushing back their recess in order to get this relief package passed, but let's hope that it doesn't even have to come down to that. Let's go ahead and get this relief package passed this week. Do it for the American people. This is all too important to let Americans sit around and suffer. All in all though, it sounds like some very good progress was made this weekend. This is very good news. And some more good news. Stimulus checks are still one of the items that both the Republicans and the Democrats are on board with. This is a bipartisan issue. The only question at this point is how much the stimulus check will be for and who all will be eligible for the next stimulus payment. Again, The Democrats want the next round of stimulus payments to be $1,200 for American citizens and $1,200 for each dependent, regardless of age. The Republicans, on the other hand, want to give $1,200 to each American, and for each dependent over the age of 17, they want to give $500 to. And finally, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, there is another proposal by the GOP that would give $1,000 to each American and $1,000 to each dependent, regardless of age as well. So a family of 4 would receive $4,000, for example. Donald Trump also mentioned that he wants the stimulus payments to be higher. He wants them to be higher than the Democrats' proposal in the HEROES Act. So we'll just have to wait and see if Congress listens and if the payments end up being higher than $1,200. With all that said, if you were given the power to determine how much the next stimulus payment would be for, how much would you choose? Would it be $1,200, $1,500, or $2,000? So, in regards to the stimulus checks, even though the Democrats' proposal is the most generous one right now, at least the two sides both mutually agree that a second round of stimulus payments is necessary. It's not going to be difficult at all coming to an agreement on stimulus payments, unlike other issues where the Democrats and Republicans are so far apart, such as on liability protection. I mean, even with the federal unemployment benefits, at least the two sides agree that they are necessary as well. With other issues like liability protection, where it's a must for Mitch McConnell, it's also something that is a complete opposition for the Democrats. It's also uncertain whether things like hazard pay for essential workers end up in the next relief package. The Democrats are clearly for hazard pay for essential workers. They had that in their HEROES Act. However, the Republicans did not have that in their HEALS Act, so it's still uncertain whether or not we will see hazard pay for essential workers. With all that said, let me know in the comment section below, how much extra do you believe that essential workers should be receiving on an hourly basis? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Additionally, one other thing that the Democrats certainly could argue is that if we're going to have liability protection in the next relief package for business owners, then we also need to have something like hazard pay for essential workers to give something for employees as well. Then you also have the whole FBI building fiasco in the bill, which I don't think anyone is for, to be honest. Not even fellow Republicans are on board with the FBI building being in the next relief package. It just doesn't make any sense. Everything in the next relief package must have something to do with helping the American people, it must help the American economy, and it must be related to this pandemic and this virus. Florida Senator Rick Scott said, quote, "I just don't understand it. How is it tied to the virus? I never understood why we were giving money to the Kennedy Center or National Endowment for the Arts. During a pandemic, let's concentrate on solving the problem." Mitch McConnell also agreed that there should not be funds set aside for a new FBI building in the next relief package. He also made mention that the Democrats tried to do the exact same thing in their House bill. McConnell said, quote, "Let me speak for myself. I am opposed to non-germane amendments, whether it's for funding for the FBI building, or, for example, whether in the House bill it's a tax cut for high-income earners in blue states, or other non-germane amendments in the House bill like marijuana studies or aid to illegal immigrants." So, it's apparent that the two sides are not going to be letting these non-virus related items into the next relief package. After all, this is a stimulus bill for the American people and the American economy, not for your own personal and political agendas. Now, with all that said, do you guys personally believe there should be any type of non-virus related provisions in this next relief package, and why? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Okay, so at this point, I just wanted to give a quick update on the first stimulus checks because yes, unfortunately, there are still millions of people who haven't even received their first stimulus payments, even though we may be sending out a second round of stimulus payments here in a month or so. So if you haven't received your first stimulus payment, the best piece of advice I can give you right now is just to continue checking the payment portal. I know it's incredibly frustrating going there every single day and continuing to see payment status not available, but believe me, if you are eligible for the first stimulus payment, then the payment portal will eventually update with a date and you will eventually receive a payment. Also, if you are an expat living abroad outside the United States, the IRS recently noted that you should be receiving your stimulus payment no later than August 14th. Now that's if you do have a US-based bank. Now, unfortunately, if you do not have a US-based bank, it is going to take a little bit longer because they're going to have to be mailing your check instead of directly depositing your check into your US-based bank account. Also, just another reminder, if you did not receive your first stimulus payment because you were claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax returns for 2019, you can still end up receiving that stimulus payment whenever you go to file your taxes next year for the 2020 tax years. You must file your taxes next year as an independent, and you must not be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax returns whenever they go to file in 2021. So whenever you go to file next year, you can still claim that $1,200 credit. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and answer some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. And if you have any other comments or questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to respond to as many comments and questions as I possibly can. And those comments and questions that I'm not able to respond to, I do try to pick some of the more popular ones to answer in the next video in video form. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video. And that comes from SC Mom. SC Mom says, will we have to go back in and put our direct deposit info in again? All right, thank you so much for that question. And since the IRS should already have all of our information from the first round of stimulus payments, we should not have to take any action for the second round of stimulus payments. However, they did not let us know for sure what we will need to do. There may be some other type of payment portal. There may be some other type of non-father's tool. Right now, we're not for sure, but since they already have all of our information, the stimulus payments should be sent out much quicker next time, and we really shouldn't have to take any action. All right, so the next comment of today's video comes from another mom. This mom says, how does someone receive the first stimulus since he didn't claim his income tax for the last few years? All right, thank you so much for that question. And if you or anyone else that you know did not file their taxes within the last 3 years, then what they should do to receive their first stimulus payment is to go to irs.gov and fill out that non-father's tool in order to be eligible for the first stimulus payment. Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so, and it's a great support to me. Also, if you would like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull, the second free stock valued all the way up to $1,400, please feel free to claim those 2 free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.